Hey everybody, I hope you guys are doing well. Today is Sunday, it's October 6th. It's a cloudy day here in New York. I'm doing okay. I'm fighting a cold. It's like the beginning of a cold, the onset of a cold. So um, my voice is not 100%, but it's good enough to do a video. I wanted to sneak this video in. I was supposed to do this video last weekend and I couldn't get to it. So I'm doing it this weekend. I'm here in my office at work. It's quiet, so I wanted to take this opportunity to get this done. Many of you know I am in the JW Reddit group, and a few questions came up in that group that are that are on the subject of dating and relationships. I'm also in a Reddit group. It's called Ask Gay Bros, and that group I've joined it so that they can keep me up to date about what's going on in the LGBTQ community, and they are aware that that is the purpose of me being in that group. So it's not like it's a secret or anything. But other topics came up in that group that I again, pertains to dating and relationships. And so that was the main reason I wanted to shoot this video today. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so first thing, so dating. Uh, let's start off this way. Let's start off with you're a PIMO, physically and mentally out, and you're working on your exit strategy, right? Your exit strategy, part of it is building a social circle of non-JW friends, and that includes adults and kids your own age. Um, let's pretend that one of those persons in your social circle, you're attracted to them, but they don't feel attracted to you at that moment, and so basically they turn you down. I want to encourage you, try to remain friends with that person if at all possible. And I'm going to say that again. Even if that person is not attracted to you, try to retain the friendship. It's important because, again, you need to build a social circle. So you want to have as many friends as possible in it. And the other thing is that that person may have a change of mind later on, right? So it could be a month later, 6 months later, a year later, and they have a change of heart. So, again, you don't want to cut that person off. You don't want to burn any bridges that you don't have to burn. So I want to encourage you, if you can, remain friends with that person. And keep in mind, all relationship, all dating is, right, are friendships. At the core or at the base of that, dating relationship is a friendship. So definitely, try to remain friends if at all possible. The other thing I wanted to talk about is, okay, let's say that you are physically and mentally out, and you're interested in someone who's also at the Kingdom Hall, but you're not sure of their status. I want to recommend that you try to get that straightened out first. You want to try to get someone who is either physically and mentally out like yourself, or you want to date someone who is a non-JW. But the last thing you want to do is date someone who has every intention of remaining a JW. That is the last thing you want. You want to try to get someone who's on their way out of the cult or already out of the cult. You don't want to get matched up with someone who's on a completely different agenda than yours. And the JW cult, snitching it just goes with the territory. The members are encouraged to snitch on one another. So if you are physically and mentally out and dating someone, you want to make sure that they are on the same page as you. But you have to be careful about how you go about making sure that you both are on the same page. The last thing you need is for someone to start snitching on you, and then it messes things up. They run to the elders and tell them, listen, I think this person's planning to leave the cult, blah blah blah, and then they create all these problems for you. So you have to be careful. One of the things I recommend doing is that if you talk to people, especially someone you're interested in dating, talk to them in a hypothesis. So it's not that hey, you know what, I'm planning to leave the cult, 5 months from now. You want to talk to them in hypothesis. Like, boy, I wonder, what life would be like had I not been born a Jehovah's Witness. You know what I mean? So you're speaking hypothetically. And then that way they can't accuse you of saying something that, indicates that you've become an apostate, blah, blah, blah. The other thing I want to encourage you to do is match that person's honesty. If that person is being open and honest with you, you should do likewise. What you don't want to do is where you tell them everything about yourself and your plans for the future. Oh, I don't want to be a Jehovah's Witness anymore. And you're telling them all the stuff about you, but they're not reciprocating. They're not being open and honest about themselves or what their plans are for the future. So now they have all this information about you, and you don't have anything you don't know anything about them. You want to match the honesty and the openness. So if you're answering each other's questions, because remember, you want to give them time to get to know you. You want time to get to know them. So you're matching each other. You're going to match each other's openness and honesty. You're not going to rush each other to to provide all this information and all of this. You need time to let that relationship develop. Another thing you have to keep in mind is sometimes when we leave a cult, we have all this baggage and raw emotions and negative feelings. And one thing I really recommend is dealing with all of that first. Getting a therapist, a professional mental health professional, to help you with that first is very important. The last thing you want to do is dump all of this baggage and emotional, this whole big burden onto a person who is not prepared to handle it, who doesn't know how to help you. And so that's asking a lot of that person. It's unfair to them. So the best thing you can do for yourself is go to a mental health professional and let that person help you process your experience in the cult, rather than asking someone that you are romantically interested in to do it. All right, so that's very important. The thing about a relationship that you want is you want a safe environment for both persons involved. You want a safe, nurturing, caring environment. And so that's what you're working towards. That's what you both should be working towards. And that's very important, right? So the question came up in the XJW community. The person mentioned that they have all of these JW beliefs and doctrines in their head. And so it's hard for them to know, how do they know if they're ready to have sex? I'm dating this person, they're both virgins. How do I know if I'm ready to have sex? Okay. The best way to know is by doing this simple question, answering this simple question. If it weren't for all of that JW crap in your head, would you have sex? Right? That's a yes/no question. So if the answer to that question is yes, I would have sex if it weren't for all of that JW crap, then you're ready. You're ready. Problem solved. Answer. That's it. Okay? That's all there is. You got to keep in mind, and I'm saying this for the people who have never been Jehovah's Witnesses, but Watchtower puts all this crap in our head that sex before marriage is a sin. You're going to die at Armageddon. Sex doesn't even exist until you're married. It's not, the only form of birth control we're told about is abstinence. There are Jehovah's Witness parents that do not allow their kids to participate in a sex education class for this very reason. They don't want them doing anything. So, a lot of us grow up with all of this hang up about being sexually active. And so it's that those cults thinking gets, their doctrines get hardwired into our psyches, and it's hard for us to let go of that sometimes. And even when it comes to sexual relationships, people are very hesitant and very, how can I say, very, it's like it's very difficult for them to enjoy sex, right? So one thing I want to recommend, so that's basically how you know you're ready for sex, is that if you would do it were it not for the indoctrination. Um, if you're a teen, there are, you live in the United States, each state has its age of consent. You need to make sure that you are of age to consent to having sexual relations. Secondly, you want to go talk to your doctor. Let them know you're Jehovah's Witness and your parent can't know about this, but talk to your doctor. Um, you can also visit a Planned Parenthood facility and get information. They will help you getting birth control. They will give you information about sexually transmitted diseases. If you're a male, you need condoms. They will give you condoms. So please, you need to educate yourselves. That's one thing I want to make clear. Just about with every aspect of your life that Watchtower does not prepare us for, we are going to have to educate ourselves and take care of these matters. It very independently. On our own. So that's what I'm encouraging you to do. If you're saying that you want to be sexually active, that means you need to educate yourself and go to professionals. You don't want to ask your peers how to, no, you want to go to trained, skilled professionals. So again, you want to ask your doctor or Planned Parenthood. The other thing I wanted to mention is that if you're a male, you should be using a condom each and every time you have sex. If you're female, again, you need to be using some form of birth control. The cult wants to see any member that leaves, they need to see them fail to feel some sense of vindication, right? When we fail, whether it be through getting a sexually transmitted disease, unplanned pregnancy, whatever it is, then the cults can say, see, that happened because they left. And that's the first line that they want to go to. That's the first thing they want to say when we fail, is that it happened because we left. So that's why I'm asking you, if you're going to become sexually active, please practice safe sex. If you become sexually active, that means now it's your responsibility to get tested for sexually transmitted diseases regularly. And I'm going to say that again. The moment you decide to become sexually active, that means it's your responsibility to get tested for sexually transmitted diseases. You should be practicing safe sex, and you should be getting tested regularly. All right? So the next issue I wanted to talk about was online dating, right? And this time I'm going to start with the LGBTQ community. There is a website for homosexual males to meet other homosexual males, and what they do is they say, oh yeah, I'm interested in you, you're interested in me, fine. And they're supposed to exchange photos of their penises, right? And so there are some who just don't feel comfortable with this. They want to save those intimate photos for someone they intend to spend the rest of their lives with. They don't want to just have their photos of their penises, being sent to every person you meet online until you meet the right one. They don't want to do that. And I want to just state that whether you are LGBTQ or not, you should be sticking to whatever makes you feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable sending out photos, then don't do it. Don't do it. We lost so much control of our lives to the cult, especially we were raised in there, we've been in there for years. We just did whatever they told us to do. So now we're out of the cult. Don't fall into that same trap where you just follow the crowd and do whatever someone else is doing. To fit it, if this makes you feel uncomfortable, do not do it. The end. If you do not feel comfortable sending out, then don't do it. Absolutely do not do it. Um, there are plenty of ways to meet people. Online is one of them, right? But meeting people is, you can meet people in life, in person, in face to face, and start a relationship that way. And I encourage that mainly because at least you're doing things on your terms at that point. And it should always be on your terms, whether you're meeting them online or in real life. But as far as meeting someone in real life, all you have to do is just keep putting yourself in positions where you meet people. So keep going, again, if you have, let's suppose you have an interest in Harry Potter or Star Trek, whatever. Okay, so you can join a fan group or something. You can join a book club. You could take up a class, dancing or whatever, where you take a class and you meet someone. Um, there's so many, you can go take a college course or whatever, but again, you just want to keep putting yourself in positions where you are meeting new people. If drinking is not an issue, you can go to bars from time to time. Again, just you want to continuously keep putting yourself out there to meet new people. So that's one thing I wanted to encourage you to do as well, as far as dating, right? Another thing that comes up with online dating is eventually, let's suppose you meet someone online and then you want to meet this person face to face. You have to exercise caution. And this goes, again, across the board. It doesn't matter if it's a heterosexual relationship or LGBTQT. You have to think about your safety. Um, when we leave the cult, right? If we lose our friends and our family to the cult, sometimes that creates within us this sense of, I don't want to say neediness, but dependence. We wanna fill in those gaps. We lost all of these friends and family, and now we wanna replace all of those friendships with new friendships, and sometimes it makes us a little bit desperate to find people, and get them in our lives. And so that desperateness sometimes leads to making poor decisions. So if you meet someone online for the first time and you say, "Oh my God, this person sounds fantastic. He sounds fantastic. I got to meet him right this minute. I got to meet him today. I cannot go to bed tonight until I met this person." And so you go running off to meet this person, and again, you're doing this on impulsively, right? And so the person says, "Okay, well, you can come to my house." You have to keep in mind, you have never met this person before. You've never met this person before, so you have to be careful. When someone says, "Listen, I live at so and so, you can come, and it's just going to be you and I alone here," you have to assume, if someone says, "I want us to be, we're going to go to this place and we'll be alone, just you and I," you have to assume that that person wants sex. If it's their home or if they're alone in their car, alone in their hotel room, you have to assume that that person wants sex. Okay? You just met them online. There's no reason for them to put you in a situation where you're alone with them. You've just met. You only met just a little while ago. So again, that's what I mean. You have to exercise caution. You have to exercise caution. Okay, so whenever you meet someone online, if they try to tell you, "Well, you have to come to my house, you have to be alone with me in my car, you have to be alone," you need to assume that the only thing they want is sex. You have to assume the worst, that the only thing that they want is sex. And then you have to go one step further and say, you have to assume that if you tell them no, they may harm you. You have to assume that if you tell them no, they may rape you. And so that's what I want you to be thinking about. I want you to exercise caution when you meet people online. My suggestion is, if you meet someone online and they want to meet face to face, go to a Starbucks. Go to a Starbucks. They want a date, the first time date, something in public. Go bowling, art museum, art gallery, go to a museum, go to video arcade, do something where you're in public. You should not be alone with anyone until you know that they are who they say they are. And I'm going to say that for you once more. You should not be alone with anyone until you know that this person is who they say they are. You should be meeting their friends. You should be meeting their family. You should not be alone with that person until you know that it is totally safe for you to be with that person. And so it's important because, again, people have gotten raped by doing that. So be very careful. Another thing, if you are LGBTQT, there are people who you meet them online and they say, okay, I want to meet in person. And it's a setup. The person that you met online is really homophobic. And so they assault LGBTQT people. They invite them, oh, let's meet up on this, wherever, in a subway station or whatever, thinking that it's going to lead to a date or a romantic relationship. And in fact, what they're doing is they're just setting you up so that they can physically assault you and beat you up. So you have to be very careful. Again, that's why I strongly recommend meeting somewhere like Starbucks or something like that. You never want to go off alone with someone who you just met online. Again, some of this desperation comes from us losing our friends and family to the cult. It can be, it can lead to very serious consequences. So you have to be careful. You have to be very careful. So that's basically what the video, that's all the notes I have for this video. I'm going to be putting some notes in the section below. But again, the most important thing that I want you to take away from this video is when we leave the cult, we need to find a soft place to land. Right? And if we're dating someone, we want it to be a happy experience for both them and us. So you're going to have to take the time and effort to put into the relationship to make it that way. All right? And so I just want you to be safe and happy. Again, it makes no sense to leave the cult and just end up in a situation similar to the cult, in a relationship similar to the cult, where someone is controlling you and all of this. All right, so I hope I've given you stuff to think about. If you have any questions or suggestions, comment section below, please leave comments. And that's it for today. I hope you guys have a good week. Take care. Bye.